My name's Eric Victor and I'm a child of God. Let me say that again. My name's Eric Victor and I'm a child of God. You know, today I have love in my life, I have joy in my life, I have peace in my life. And it wasn't always that way. You know, let me share what God's kind of doing in my life right now. He's bringing stuff full circle. A couple months ago, I was invited to speak at a church. It used to be a bar that I used to frequent. And even this place, you know, the last time I was here, it was for a total different reason. And actually, the first time I ever did any kind of opiate in my life was on that rock right over there. So this place is a part of my story, whether I want it to be or not. You know, when I grew up, I had a pretty average childhood. I had two loving parents. Didn't really go through a lot. But any story of addiction, it has trauma in it, whether we like to admit it or not. You know, the Lord's really been dealing with me just even recently. In the last 5 years, if you'd have asked me what kind of trauma I had in my life, I'd been like, I didn't really have much. But you know, this whole thing's a process, and God has revealed to me that I had these feelings and these issues, and I had them stuffed deep down, so deep that I tried to forget about them, but they were still there. And so the first traumatic experience of my childhood, my house burned down when I was 12 years old. We lost everything. And that really was the beginning of me acting out as a child. That's when I started hanging out with all the wrong crowd. You know, I just like to party, man. You know, that's where I found drugs and alcohol. And I really just drank. I really didn't do any heavy drugs in high school. Not until I got out. And then, like I said, I just like to party. I like to hang out, man. And it just spiraled from there. You know, I'd hang out with these guys that were doing heavy drugs, and I would see them stealing and doing all these things. And I'm just like, how could someone let themselves just get that bad? Like, I just don't get it. I guess I thought there was a line in the sand at some point in time I was going to get to. And if I crossed that line, you know, there'd be no going back. But, you know, I never crossed that line. But, you know, as it goes, I started out smoking pot, drinking, and that progressively led to cocaine, and I started smoking crack, and then I found opiates, and that was it after that. You know, I began to steal to support my habit. I couldn't keep a job. It was all downhill. I've been to rehab 3 or 4 times. I tried killing myself a couple different times. You know, one of the times I didn't necessarily want to die, but I was tired of hurting my family. My thinking was so messed up that I thought the only solution to the problem was just me removing myself from the situation. So, I read somewhere that if you ate 30 aspirin, that it would kill you. So I ate 350. I wanted to make sure the job was done. Well, I just kind of thought I'd fall asleep and not wake up. Well, that didn't happen. I went to the hospital 18 hours later, and I digested every single one of those. So if you can't tell me that that's not a God miracle and God looking over my life, even when I didn't know it, you know. But anyway, I've been to prison. My prison number is 623-896. Of course, for stealing. I was the type of person that you wouldn't want me in your house. If you knew I was coming over, you'd hide all your valuable stuff. Because I had sticky fingers. You know. One day, I was about to get caught doing drugs. My parents were going to find out I was on drugs again. I was supposed to be sober. And I got invited to go to church. And so I figured, yeah, I'll go. You know, I figured it would be a good excuse. You know, sounds like good excuse. So when I got confronted with it, I could be like, you know, would a heroin addict be going to church? You know, just buy me a little more time. You know. So I ended up going to church, and I absolutely got my socks knocked off. You know, they started playing music. Yeah, you know, this ain't too bad. I never heard Christian music before. I'm like, if I gotta play this out a while, I can deal with this. This is all right. Well, the next thing you know, I'm starting to shake. I know, okay, this is weird. Then next thing you know, I'm crying, and I'm in a room full of people I've never met before. You know, I'm looking around like, these guys are seeing me fall apart. I'm never coming back to this place ever again. Ever. You know, I got people praying for me, and I'm just absolute train wreck. I just let it go. You know, I got my shirt soaked from just tears. And Frank back here, Frank's at. Frank is just staring at me with this giant grin on his face, just loving it. I'm like, great, they think it's funny, you know, it's falling apart. But I left that day, and I didn't know what had just happened, but I liked it and I wanted more of it. And you know, from that day, I went through about an 8-9 month struggle of running back and forth from God to drugs, God to drugs. And I found myself in situations where I'm getting in trouble with cops who know me well, arrested me many times, and I'm even admitting to being at fault, and they're letting me go. You know, just the hand of God was all over all of it. And I got busted for just the littlest, pettiest thing. I remember in the back of the cop car, I knew it was over. I knew it was done. And that was May 15th, 2015. So I've been sober ever since then. I always feel like people always talk more about the bad than they do the good. So on that day is really when my life began. You know, I surrounded myself with people who I wanted what they had. And I wanted to. I saw something in them that I didn't have in myself, and I wanted it, and I went after it. And you know, I don't know if you've ever heard of you're a product of the top 5 people you hang around. And little bit by little bit, next thing you know, I was one of these Christians, you know. So you know, fast forward to today. You know, I have I can tell you all day about, you know, all the peace and joy I have. I have houses, I have cars, I have a motorcycle, all that stuff. They all have God stories tied to them. But it's really the change that's inside of me that's absolutely unbelievable. Most people, when I tell them I'm a 3 or 4 time convicted felon, they don't believe me, you know, or that I've been to prison. But you know, today I have an awesome job. I'm a deacon in United Worship. My home church, I'm in charge of the greeters and the ushers. I have an amazing wife who's a children's pastor at our church. I have 2 awesome little kids, and you know, all that happened in 5 years' time. But I also went through a lot of life changes. You know, I had both my parents die in that time, and I don't know how I could have went through that without God or my church family. You know, we can have events like this, gatherings, and it doesn't really change anything. What changes things is love. What changes things is hope. What changes things is faith. And the Spirit of God is in all of us. It's in love, joy, peace, faith. That's what God is. That's my story of God in my life. And just thank you guys for listening.